Hello and welcome back to the Monch Hours podcast. I'm your host, John, and I'm here with my good friend, great friend, fantastic friend, anything you want to name it, Mr. Jordan. How you doing, buddy?
Bro, that's more like it. I might get used to that. Just stoke that ego, bro. Just keep buttering me up, bro.
I took notes from last time, so I made sure to give you the proper introduction.
As you should. I appreciate it. You remember. Cool. That's a sign of a good friend.
Well, I would hope so. But this week we're talking about power-ups anime or some of our favorite power-ups, and in our opinion. And for that, we actually have a super special guest here, our other good and great friend, fantastic friend, Mr. He's kind of a monster himself in terms of bodybuilding, Mr. Gino. Man, how you doing?
Make me feel special too. Taking notes. All right, let me write this down just in case I ever feature again.
Oh. Gee, we can say so much more better about you. So next time we got you.
Feel special. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man. Well, we're glad to have you on this week, and we're excited to hear your opinions on this. So without further ado, we'll cue the intro and get right into it.
Welcome to the Monch Hours podcast, where we consume manga and anime with pleasure. Crack a cold one and enjoy the show.
I hope we can finally fight without any distractions now.
How do you know the Muju style?
Fate is a fascinating thing. The Muju style would be something that I alone am the master of. There's no escaping that it's your destiny to die by my hand.
Since it is destined, I'd like to see what the hand of God is all about.
Gladly. I've been sitting idle now for far longer than I would have liked.
I'm not going there to die. I'm going to find out if I'm really alive. I have to do it, Faye.
It's all a dream.
Yeah. Just a dream.
And we're back. You know what? My apologies, but we forgot to crack the cold one, so we got to do it right here, right now, on camera. Cheers, my brothers. What are you drinking this week, Jordan?
It's Sunshine Girl. It's a golden ale.
Okay.
Pretty tasty for these hot days. It's basically a lager with, more flavor to it, though. I mean, it's made with the ale yeast, but it's got that lager taste.
All right, digging that.
Pretty good.
And Mr. G there, what you got?
Bro, I'm drinking the last bit of my summer shandy that I got over here.
Ooh. That's tasty stuff, dude.
Man, trying to live up the last bit of summer.
Heck yeah, dude. That's what me and Jordan are doing.
Yep. How about you, bro? I know you got some super craft.
Yeah, you see the camera, dude. I actually had to I got myself a little glass this time, making it extra, makes it extra, extra hipster, extra crafty. Of course, sleek now in the haze. Again, this is actually from Tarantula Brewing Company, Thousand Oaks, California. Hazy IPA.
Oh,
it's pretty tasty. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, bro, I can just see your mustache is just slowly curling into your old.
I actually shaved,
old
man.
hipster.
Can't see it, but I shaved. I shaved it all again. Just a little buzz. Because you know what? It's not winter yet.
True.
You know what? I'm trying to like G over here get the last of that, or make most of this fleeting summer of COVID that we had.
Dude, I respect that.
But yeah, on that topic with Gino, you know what, Gino, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself properly and tell us a little bit about yourself, your history, fan of anime, manga, and yeah, let's hear it.
What's up, guys? So, long time lover of anime and manga. Actually, not manga so much. I didn't start reading manga until we got into high school. Probably around the same time I met you, Jan. To be honest, because I wasn't a big fan of reading. Yeah, just recently got out of the military, so I'm pursuing my dream of being a full-time illustrator. There's a whole bunch of stuff about that I'll probably talk about later when we get into the power-up stuff. But
Okay.
Long story short, I'm just a dude that loves anime, manga, and the occasional fantasy, living out my dream through sick ass power-ups, combo moves, and horrendous life events panning out on animes and mangas.
Yeah. Well, I feel you. Well, I think it was a proper. I always kind of had this in mind having you come on for like a power up episode because you were the guy who helped me power up, IRL when it comes to like weightlifting and gym, man. So if there's one person I thought that would fit this episode perfectly, it would be you. Kind of the epitome of that, and how your gym ethic is, and this guy literally embodies plus ultra to the fullest. There's no finishing weak. It's your going to the max every lift. So I'm glad to have you on for this one.
If we were casting All Might, I know who we'd be picking.
Ooh.
All Might,
dude.
It's an honor, bro.
All Might, and after the lift, it's all rice, baby.
That's right.
Carb load.
It's funny.
Yeah,
It's funny you say that because a lot of the mentality that comes through it is it's like a lot of the inspirations that we get through anime characters. They're like their trials, tribulations, or just their inspirational words that get me through workouts and shit. It's like, what would All Might do?
Yeah.
I think it's important too because like in this day and age, it's really hard to come by motivation, inspiration. So when you find it, like for me, like I remember when we were lifting hard, like doing deadlifts and like hitting that PR, like I was fresh off like Attack on Titan season. On the last one, this was when like Commander Irwin was giving his infamous speech to his soldiers before they charged the Beast Titan, and they do that like salute, Yep. And he was like "Sasagoi," and I was just like saying that in my head, and I was like pumping myself up, and man, it works. And I have no shame. I have no shame. It gets you that extra, whatever it does good.
Wherever you can pull that inspiration or that drive from.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know a lot of people say how, like, why do you like anime? Just like, people who don't really understand it. And these are situations that pretty much are like a testament of how these, like, this shows for the most part can transfer over to real life. So it's always cool hearing about those.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's like a really good segue into like, just power-ups in general. And like we kind of already talked about it, and I wanted to open up with this, was like how these power-ups, these characters, like you mentioned, trials and tribulations, and then just watching themselves push themselves makes you want to better yourself and harnessing that energy for obviously yourself. So it's like I want to kind of ask you guys a question. If there's been like one character, let me say let's break it down because it's so we've been in anime our entire lives, and it's really hard when someone says, "What's your favorite?" Like you always draw a blank, right? So we'll break it down in sections. Like as you were, let's just say as a young kid, what was the most the one power up that kind of made you like love power ups or inspired you when you were in high school, and then when you're now. Like, what are, like, the three power-ups that are in your mind at this moment that really, like, made you go, wow, I want to be like that. I want to do something.
I'll let G go first.
Oh, man, put me on the spot.
Bro, I can go if you want.
Trial by fire.
As a kid, well, I didn't know as a kid that Bandai did Power Rangers as comic, so I always just watched it as a show, the live action and stuff. But
right.
Bandai actually did like a long series of comics when it comes to Power Rangers. But when being a little kid, man, I remember, and I've always been a sucker for self-improvement, but just that transition from when Tommy went from the Green Ranger to the White Ranger.
Oh yeah,
like
dang, he's taking it back. He's taking it back.
What I mean? Like there's just that clear distinction of like how Tommy was just so torn personally, like fuck life, everything was just really crappy for me right now. but when he made that transition from like from bad to good, just like how much strength he garnered from that, and even like the people around him, like people changed around him too, like people felt stronger around him. For me, man, that's what really hits home.
Yeah, for sure. I totally.
that's a good pull.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That shocked my memory right there.
Man. You felt it though, right? You
yeah,
felt
of course,
it. You're like,
felt
yeah,
it.
yeah. Forget the Dragon Zord. I'm the White Tiger.
But bro, the flute. What about the dragon flute?
I mean, you can never knock on the flute. That like the dude. It's like how do you play the flute with the mask on? But
yeah, I mean, he's got lips.
So
Like got
good,
plastic
Tommy,
lips.
Man.
Dude, that's a good one. I don't want to answer anymore.
No. Everybody felt it, you know. Nobody ever wants to admit, like, at one time or another, like a Power Ranger was like a good motivator for you when you were younger.
Well, I will. Heck yeah, dude. I love Mighty Morphin.
Yeah, dude. Those are classics, especially the movie, the ninja suits.
Oh
bro.
yeah.
Don't even get me started on the ninja suits.
Dude, Halloween, like 1998, 1997. Y'all got that.
I
still
got
have
that,
pictures of
baby.
it.
I had the Captain America, dude, when I was a little kid.
Oh yeah. There
Captain
you go.
America.
Yeah, I just had the.
And that's like one
stuff.
thing
I had
too.
the-
It's always funny because like my favorite hero was Captain America growing up, and so was Gino's, and
Yeah.
it's just like it's like all right, man, we kind of vibe with each other. But I think there was so much power ups as a kid that I love, but like when I really like just boil it down to like what like the most prolific in my mind as a child was definitely Goku versus Frieza. And it's just like I think that's probably one of the most iconics in general. And you can, of course, it's like I'm biased with nostalgia and everything, but there was probably, like I'm saying, there's no other like during my childhood. Like I witnessed a lot of power ups, like even like Usagi, Sailor Moon, when they have their transformation and all that. But like when it comes to like impactful, it's like Krillin just it's the end of the world. Everything's going down, Frieza versus Goku, and then he's hitting that rage. You're hearing him, he starts like building up, and his muscles are tensing, and he's like screaming into the mic. And you finally, the legends of the Super Saiyan, how they're fake and they don't exist. And then his hair starts flickering gold, and the lightning starts sparkling around him, crackling, and his eyes go white. And then you hear that Goku yell, and it's like this is the guy who's gonna save not only his friends, his family, but the world. Right. And you really felt it in that moment. Like, of course, because it was like a 2-month buildup of episodes for that one, that one transformation.
Line, bro.
But I mean, when it came, and as a kid, for me, that was the most iconic for me.
I know
Yeah.
it's like it's not tangible to achieve that, but I remember just knowing that, like, what if in a situation I could do that? Because because sometimes we're stuck in a situation, especially when we were kids, we were stuck in school, like, or we had fights with our parents, or even like other friends. You're just like, fuck, I wish I could just go Super Saiyan right now.
Right. You shut the door in the bathroom and look in the mirror.
Right.
And, you're building yourself up.
Right.
Oh, bro. I did that many times. Like that feeling, like, when you're a kid and you just feel helpless.
Right.
And, like, you just want to just change your persona almost and,
right,
like, live out as someone else. And who better than Goku, the epitome of the cream of the crop. Like, the dude is the strongest in the universe,
right.
And he's constantly upping that level. Like, I know I was constantly powering up to DBZ style, If not in, like, reality, like, in my mental, like, my mind, I was always trying to flex that.
Right.
I mostly just leveled up to, like, Krillin level, though, but I always aimed for Goku.
You tried fighting that hidden potential within you, but you just ended up being a Chaozu.
Yes, dude. Maybe a Cyberman if I was lucky.
Cyberman. Yes, sir.
But yeah, dude. So yeah, when I think of power-ups, like, of course, like, my mind goes to that Goku Frieza power-up. But then when I think about it more, like, my favorite character in DBZ was Piccolo. And when you see when he powers up just by absorbing first Nell and then Kami, like, the Kami one where it was like, oh shit, like, this is how dire it is that everyone's kind of realizing they have to sacrifice, and Kami's sake, he has to sacrifice his, like, sentience. and for the greater good, like, he's a guardian of the Earth. He has to give that up for Piccolo, who they all in reality know he's not going to really stand a chance that long, but it's all just to buy time for, Goku and like everyone who's training to end up coming and save the day. So just that mentality of he's powering up to this level, just sacrificing a life basically.
Yeah, it's selfless act.
And it's a good choice of words, yeah. And it's all just, it's fleeting. Like, he knows he's not going to win the fight. It's just a time grab.
Right.
And that's something I respected. I was like, damn, Piccolo, you really are my dog, right?
You're my dog, man. And I want to preface this too, saying when I say power up, not necessarily have to be like human, right? We can talk about mechas, we can talk about transformations in general, like monsters. Like I just want to go ahead and say like we don't have to like limit it to shonens, even though shonens, that's what they're kind of like. They're like you wait for that moment. Yeah, you wait for that moment to take place.
Yeah.
But okay, so what about any changes in like, let's say your teenage years, teenage angst? Were you edgy? Did you have any like edgy favorite power ups? Because I did.
Oh, bro, I got one.
All right, let's hear it, Jay.
Oh, dude. So like thinking about it, like I don't know, it's not your typical, like you were just saying. It doesn't have to be the shonen power ups, but just that first episode of Death Note where Light gets the Death Note, and he basically at that moment he just became a god. Like,
okay, there you go,
what kind
man.
of dude? That's the ultimate power up. You ask me. He can kill whoever he wants just with the face and the name.
Right.
Like, dude he should. I mean, he's got the intellect. If he hadn't let his human side play into it, he could have really been like the great force in the world. But he kind of went too far, to say the least.
Yeah,
start killing everyone.
That's a really good way of like totally like hitting the nail when I was mentioning like it doesn't have to be transformation. Like this powered up, typically you have like the power ups that most people think about are like we said shonens where all the chips are down, the hand's been played, there's nothing else to go, and the hero finds some hidden power to save the day. He rises to the top, rises to the occasion to save his friends and all that. That kind of transformation. But when you mention like Death Note and Light and him getting that and realizing the power that he has and kind of just like going all out, or it's just like it's perfect because it's not your typical muscle up power level scaling. It's like knowledge and IQ and just like almost like malice that just unlocked 100% with Death Note. And Death Note is an episode or a series that I've only watched once, and I actually got spoiled with the ending from a YouTube video, so I didn't like really finish it all. So it's one that I need to rewatch for sure. So I got robbed of that climactic moment, and I won't. If anyone else hasn't seen it, I'm not gonna rob you of it. So, but yeah, I agree with that, Jordan, 100%.
Yeah, dude, definitely go back and watch it again. I feel like I start it every year, and I only watch like a few episodes, but just I have to dip my toe back into that universe every now and then and be like, this is the shit. Yeah.
You gotta feed your homicidal side of your brain.
I do. I gotta hear that.
Yeah, you're listening to Hobson at the same time.
Yeah. Well, they got the I think it was the outro in that show was just that, I think it's, or is it the intro, the Screamo? Dude, that just sets the tone for what you're about to see.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got the Japanese Screamo going.
What about you, Gino? What do you got here? Same thing or something different?
Man, when it as a teen.
Yeah, teen. High school, college.
There was two turning points for me. One of them was like knowing like I'm not gonna have anything handed to me. That was a hard part. That was like one of those hard things to swallow. But I don't know if you guys ever watched all of Gurren Lagann. But
okay, yeah, man.
Man, Kamina was my guy because I always wanted a brother. I never had a brother. But Kamina, the way he like inspired Simon, because they were like, these Hobon kids like in the bottom, underground, just doing dirt work to try to get by, afraid of like what the future could hold, because everybody was too afraid to expand their horizon. But then like Kamina having the balls to find alien tech, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm gonna go with it anyway. And then again, it just goes back to the inspiration thing. Like, he inspired Simon to take a risk with him, and asking Simon to hold, like, that priceless treasure that what is it, the life drill, the core drill, and saying, hey,
Right.
I want you to take your priceless gem, and I want you to help me follow my dream, because I know it's gonna help you, complete your dream too. But when Kamina forces Simon into the mech and forces two mechs to combine by combining a head of a mech to the body of another mech, not knowing if anything good was going to come of it, but shit, it's like something good came of it because he took a chance.
The leap of faith.
Yeah, leap of faith, and that's what got him through it, and that always inspired me, because even though he didn't know he was going to win, he was always looking at the other guy, was like, who the hell do you think I am? Even though he might lose, he was still going for it just in case, because you never know until you take that jump. And that's what he did, man. That's why Kamina, that power, that right there, that sense of like internal will. Like, you don't know if you're gonna do it, if you don't know if you're gonna succeed.
Yeah.
But again, like, there's no point of just sitting there and wasting it away. You might as well just try.
Yeah, I like that. That's like an emotional power up.
Yeah. Because they had to,
Yeah.
Nothing was
How'd
given
you
to
feel?
them, so they were just like, we got to take it, because if we don't take it, no one else is going to give it to us.
Yeah. Kamina had those dope sunglasses too. That's just a power up in its own, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
If you,
I wanted to like shout
Got
out
those-
to that Gurren Lagann, because I think that was still Gynax, so it wasn't triggered just yet. But like Gynax, and they're known for like when they have like these badass moments, like you mentioned, that they have the Gynax pose is what it's known for, with the arms crossed.
Yeah.
You have the shades and the kind of like that low angle point coming up like that, and it's like, here's the hero, this is the turning point in this situation. So I just want to quickly mention that, because that's one of my favorite things ever, especially like with Gurren Lagann and like Die Buster and Gunbuster and even Kill la Kill. The carrots, Trigger. It's in Trigger today. You even have it in Darling in the Franxx, Promare. Like, it's so iconic to me.
Yeah, it's inspiring. Like, you may not even be like motivated to do anything, but after seeing that pose or seeing that action scene, you're just like, all right, I'm gonna go to the gym, work out, because that pumped me up so much.
Right. Yeah. 100% agree. I think for me, like, I had like two as well. And like I mentioned, like edginess, because I was really into Bleach back then, and like what comes to mind is Ichigo fighting in like what I consider the best arc for Bleach currently, which is like there's a Waco Mundo arc, which is with the Hollows and the Espadas, and he's fighting Ukoria, or I can't pronounce it, but like the Bat one essentially, and he goes Vasto Lord, when he like goes full hollow, and he like transcends like anything that's known currently, and like there's no like, he's not even hollowed, he's like legit like one of like the lords of that Waco Mundo, and like just obliterates everything. In order to do that, his heart had to be blasted out of him, to unleash that kind of darkness within him, which is for me one of the sickest freaking transformations of power ups, because there's nothing that can match him currently at that time. Maybe a full powered Aizen, but we don't see Vasto Lord again until I think a movie, and even then it was like short lived. But that moment itself was crazy. And then the other one for me as well was like really got into like my introduction into Neon Genesis Evangelion. And that's when Unit 01 goes into like berserk mode. And originally, like in that series, like they all have these giant mechs. This was from Gynax as well, so Gurren Lagann too. Yeah. These giant mechs they're connected to a battery source, and if they unplug, then they have like 5 minutes of power time. But when it goes berserk, it's like kind of throwing back to where like, how do these units or these mechs kind of have this kind of persona to them? And it's like there's a soul within that was harvested from a human that's in the mech, and it's like unleashing that. And so like when it goes berserk, it doesn't need a power source. Like nothing makes sense. Like nothing scientifically can explain what's going on, and like this mech becomes all of a sudden like bio organic, and it's got teeth, and it's moving like primordial, like just like a complete like primal being. and it's like ravaging through things, and it's like chomping. It's crazy. It's like such a unique transformation from like a mech, obviously with guns and like really precise movements, is just like to just monstrous thing. Yeah, and we see it again in like Unit 2. Like NGE has a really sick transformations with berserk modes, as they call it.
Dude, they one of those other turning points for me is like not from fantasy to almost like pure human will, and it's this very, very underrated anime. And the only reason I ever watched it was because staying up late watching Toonami. Our boy Tom, what is it? The show IGPX Motor Grand Prix. Not many people have seen it.
Damn!
So of course, main guy in it, Takashi. That's where I derive my alias from. But he's not an antagonist. I think he's just one of those guys that really helps Takashi push further. If you ever seen like a badass,
I've seen it.
Alex Cunningham, part of Team Velstein. Those guys that you're supposed to hate because he's so cocky, but you don't hate him because like his demeanor and his conviction are so strong that
his presence.
Yeah, like you can't help but just to like the dude. Like
Gilgamesh and Fate Zero, or Fate in general. Let me see.
But his they have this thing called the Hindaragamata. I mean, they don't have superhuman strength or anything or anything like that. In the mechs, pretty much do all the fighting. But Cunningham was a prior soldier, and I think his teammates were prior soldiers too. But they developed this thing. It's almost like Ultra Instinct before Ultra Instinct came out, and what they did is it's about like 30 seconds of just pure adrenaline where like it's where man and machine like mesh together. The point where like mental and physical focus is just through the roof, and they're able to perform like unreal feats of like maneuverability, speed, and power. And at a point I was like, oh, that's so badass. It's not attainable. But then again, it just goes back to like it's just human will. And Takashi was able to do that later, and I was like, how can I use that in real life? And I guess that's what helped me push, like to get better in life. That's like working out, for example. Like, how can I derive that and help me push further? And that's why I think it's so important too. Why people should share their experiences with anime, because sometimes people lack that in their life, like that kind of inspiration, and it's things like that that makes us better people, just sharing that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree.
It's not rage.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just like pure motivation.
Yeah, and whatever gets you to that next day,
right?
Whatever gets you to the gym, whatever makes you, yeah. I mean, you find it, you gotta hold on to it and use it.
Yeah, we all have like our different experiences. Life's different for me to you to Gino. Like every one of us goes through different things in life, faced with different challenges. So there's such a variety in anime and so many positive messages that when we find something that can inspire, motivate, we really have to like look at that and like absorb it and just use it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes like you don't get that kind of sometimes we don't get that exposure in real life, because sometimes real life can just be so bleak.
Yeah, as you see lately, like real life is just trying to beat everyone down.
Yeah, and with social media too. Social media we always talk about this because like I think this whole influencer type deal has personified it, and especially now with everybody in COVID and their social media is much more accessible. It obviously has its benefits, but like we have someone talking down or like just shoving their accolades in your face. It's really like like I mentioned, influencers. It's like I woke up at 5 a.m. I did this, made a kale shake. I did this, blah 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 blah. What did you do today? It's like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like I'm just trying to live. I'm trying to survive. Right. I'm trying to get through the day. It's like and we get that forced down our throats so often that. It develops a really savage mentality of like, of you just doing, like, if you're doing your best and it, for whatever reason you're at your best that day, maybe you're in depression or something, like that's just it's gonna amplify it 100%. So it's like when you have, at least you go to this anime, and this happens a lot. It happened to me, happened to you. Is like you go into anime during these moments because you need that positive energy. You need that positive reinforcement. And you need to see someone struggle on your screen to resonate with that person and be relevant and like say he's struggling like I'm struggling, even though it's like fake and fiction. The reality is like he's struggling and I'm struggling, or this character is struggling, and they just find like they know if you see someone just say I just got to keep doing this. And I'll make it to tomorrow. I'll make it to the next day. Better myself. You can implement it, and imitate it, and better yourself as well.
Isn't that crazy though? Like how in anime dystopian societies is becoming more of like our reality.
It is.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077. Right. More like right now.
Yeah, man. It's crazy to think about that because you always see those background characters going day by day and how like either life sucks for them or it's just mundane or monotonous. And then what we forget is sometimes we do the same thing. And it's like, it's eye-opening. It's like, oh, man. Am I the protagonist of this anime? Man.
We're pretty much there. I think, like, one of the things is we're pretty much in, like, dystopia because I remember, like, Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan. And what I remember, of course, in the smoking weed thing, but he was saying we're pretty much cyborgs right now. Oh, and the way he described it is because, like, we have our phones, right? We have our phones, and that is us. It's an extension of us. It's a technology piece that we access for, an insurmountable amount of knowledge, or a calculator, or alarms. How naked do we, like, there's never a moment where this isn't, like, within arm's reach, unless you're sleeping and you're, good for you. But that is, like, the embodiment of a cyborg, right? Like a bioorganism using technology to better themselves or go throughout their day. So we're there. We're there. We just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, man, that in itself is like, I think it's an under appreciated, realistic power up is an augmentation of technology, AI and that kind of stuff. I lied, so I have a third one that really changed my life when I was younger.
Okay.
Gundam 00. You guys remember? I don't know if you guys remember that. They had this like futuristic people. They're regular humans like us, except for science fiction had them genetically augmented, but they threatened the world with war to bring peace. So they're bringing peace by bringing war into it. So long story short, the being able to overcome adversity by
hardship
and accepting change. Like the world is gonna change, and you can either suck it up and go with it, or you can just lay there and let it kill you, right? And so that the Gundam 00 was a big one for me when Setsuna, he's just like this orphan kid that was forced into war. When he was given the ability to, become this face of change by being like this, pretty much like a paradox, bring peace by war. But he was able to utilize the GN drive, like the mechanical engineering of the Gundams, to transcend into the next type of human race.
Right.
And just allowing it to happen. He knows it sucks, but sometimes you can't do anything but to accept it. Like you have to
accept it and face it head on.
Right. And that's man. It's all like a trend to me. For me, it's like it's all about self-improvement. I don't know.
Yeah, same here. It comes down to that, and I think like that's one of the things where I hear a lot of people talk shit about shonen, and it's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. But like, to somebody out there, like, and to us, and if there comes a critical moment in our life, and like if you're having to catch that shonen anime that usually does it so good, when they're faced with adversity like that, and it's like it helps you get to where you need to get to, then it's like, damn, good for you, man. That's why, like, me and Jordan talk about this all the time too. It's like we will clown on a show, like a series or whatever, and like like make fun of it lightly, but like we don't do it like out of malicious intent, because that could be someone's like favorite fucking show. Like the hot topic today would be like Black Clover. It's like a lot of and then even before that was Sword Art Online. Like that was just like the donkey that everyone kept making fun of, and I love Sword Art. That was for me like seeing Kirito go through all that shit. It's like and just finding happiness with like his partner and like wanting to live again.
Right.
Like it's really big in my mind. It's really huge. So like
Yeah,
I can
I
roll
agree
with the
that,
punches and
definitely.
people can dog on it, but I'll still say, well, I don't give a fuck. I like SAO.
Right.
Like, whatever.
But I think there's some animes too that are purposely like that too, that give us the kind of like the relief, the
For sure.
yeah, it's like High School of the Dead. You remember High School? Like,
I actually never seen it.
oh man,
Gee, I've
know.
seen that.
best fan
I've seen
service.
it.
Yeah, so Jordan knows what I'm
One-
talking about. Best fan service right there. But like, of course, it's the main.
Oh, someone's at my door. You guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
I mean, Jordan, you remember like the main premise was surviving the zombie apocalypse with boobs everywhere.
That's all it was. 100. That's all you need to know if you haven't seen the
It's like
show.
the will to live with boobs.
Yep. Yeah. And it's like just having, in that situation where there's a zombie outbreak, like, the fan service was added in, but just, it's a group of kids that are fighting for their survival in a high school.
Right.
And just having that, like, it kind of shows you, like, we're not facing a zombie apocalypse yet, at least, but like, we need to have that will to just fight through whatever adversity we face.
Oh yeah, and then being faced with like humanistic issues, like greedy people.
Yeah.
Fucking what is it? Was like the 7 deadly sins. Pretty much is what they were facing through the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like a satire version of it, but it's something we can make fun of or laugh at, but still being able to understand that they went through those trials too. With fan service.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, plus fan service, a lot of it.
Oh,
Service, yeah.
That's the
Well,
thing,
okay. How
like,
about today, like modern day, like right now, like what are your guys's transformations, power ups that come to mind?
All right. So for me, dude, I've been reading Haikyuu, and I watched the first season.
Okay.
So I'm halfway through Haikyuu now. I think I'm at like 2 something on chapters, and so they just played their tournament game against Shiratorizawa and won. And sorry, spoiler, but just the fact, like, you start at the beginning, you see this group of kids, especially Hinata. He has no skill besides his athletic ability,
Right.
And he meets another person in Kageyama, and they come together, and basically they power up with this quick attack that they develop, which is Hinata's the only person who's ever been able to hit the volleyball when Kageyama set it, and just that in itself is a power up. But as they keep going and progressing, you see them like just practicing and trying to learn all these moves, and they're struggling at them. They go through like their camps, their volleyball camps, playing against other teams, and not winning any game. But they're just trying to master new skill sets for when the games count. They are going to be able to execute.
Right.
And in a sense, like, that work ethic is also a power up that I appreciate. When we all need that really to succeed. Success is derived from this work ethic, and you see it when they reach this team in Shiratorizawa, which is like top 3 in Japan.
Prefecture, yeah.
And they're is it prefecture? Yeah, they're able to overcome and beat this team who has one of the best players in volleyball, and they. The series had basically, up to that point, had been the Hinata and Kageyama, like, their combo was leading them.
Right.
But then you see, like, through all of these training moments, and everyone's just giving it their all, that everyone throughout those games has moments where they show that they've powered up, and then it kind of comes to their ultimate technique that they develop, which is a Synchro Attack, where the whole team is attacking the net, and it's not just 2 players that are going to execute a play and the others are just there. It shows that this whole team has given it their all in practice and really laid it out there, and they're attacking all at once in like a unified form.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because when they do that, it's an all-out attack. There's no one left behind that can defend if their attack fails. So they have 100% confidence in their teammates and in themselves. And really, in like team sports, like that's the ultimate. Like you have to have that. If you don't have that, you're like your team's weak. You're not powerful.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I gotta second that, man. Because I love that anime too. But the biggest thing that really that hit home for me is every player accepted their limitation eventually. Like even Kagami, he's like I can't do this without Hinata. Like there's no way I'm gonna do it. Even the upperclassmen were like, we're not nearly as good as these guys, but we need to show them what it's like to be a team because the lower classmen, they don't have that cohesion yet.
Yeah.
But, especially when I forgot what his name was, but when he got hit in the head by Baldy, what was his name? The captain, when he got hit in the head. Because the
I can't remember.
Yeah,
What's
but
his
the
name?
Baldy,
Tonica?
he was
The bald guy, Tonica?
Yeah, because the Baldy
delinquent?
came in and hit him in his shoulder or something. I forgot. But then it really came to the point where we have our power players, but the captain, he was really the one that really brought us together because he's the one that really inspired us to keep our shit together. But he knew he wasn't nearly as good as some of the other guys. But what he could bring to the table was that, like, just doing what you can for the team. It's like because Jordan, you remember playing team sports. You know exactly where you fell on the spectrum when it came to the team. And
a good team, like everyone knows their role.
Right. You might not be the star player that game, but you know exactly what a star player should be doing that game, so you know exactly how you should be supporting them. That right there, that's a good power-up, is understanding your limit.
Dude, I want to actually third that because Haikyuu is... I'm coming into it, I didn't really grasp how amazing this anime is, and it gets a lot of fucking flack on Twitter. I mean, rightfully so because the fandom is kind of is fucking way out there and sometimes toxic, and which is unfortunate. But I want to talk about you mentioned, Gino, the acceptance that they're not a star player, and one of my favorite characters from that series is Toru Okawa, and this is the guy that was on Adoba, just the volleyball team that Atobia was originally on. Or not originally on, but one of his teammates was on. Essentially the turquoise one. And this was the master setter that had a rivalry with Tobio in the beginning. And during his, when they go against Kurasano and they lose, ultimately, you see the setter who he has this little speech, this little moment where he goes through, it's like the curse of the ordinary. He's like, I don't have that extra special talent that Tobio and Hinata have, but what I do have is my work ethic and my, just being ordinary. I'm going to do the best I can to my abilities and try to prove to you that I can essentially become as great as you. And ultimately he loses, but you see him die for a ball, crash into the chairs, and then his sneakers are slipping on the floor, and he's running back and doing absolutely the most that an ordinary human being can do, to match essentially what these extra gifted players have. And that for me was a huge moment. It was I have chills thinking about it because there's just man, talk about relating to the viewer who
that's
feels
the one
in that
where
situation.
The team was just pretty much giving up, right? And he just kept going.
Yeah, it's they're gonna lose. He accepted that they don't have the talent that Hinata and Tobio have together, but maybe through it's it doesn't matter. You're still going. You're still doing the best you can.
Yeah, and that made me cry too because they had in the bleachers, they had their family cheering for them too, right? Even though they knew they were gonna lose, they were still cheering for them. Yeah, I was and then that's the heart-wrenching. Yeah, and then even too when I because I started watching this series at I was going through some shit, and it comes in waves. And the guy on Kurasano, one of the upperclassmen, Asahi, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but essentially the wild man with the ponytail. Yeah. His whole thing was anxiety, and how he had overcome that.
And then I watched that, and I was going through my own kind of like anxiety episode, and it helped me so much. Like, and this is like we go back to that, how about anime helps you, and it's just like just watching this obviously fictional character go through anxiety and watching it overcome gives you the hope that you can overcome yours as well. And it was a huge help. It was like a massive fucking help. So I love that series, man. I love that series.
Yeah, super underrated. I think a lot of people need to give more sports anime a try too.
For sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Bro, that's been my shit.
Yeah, Jordan's been on it,
year.
man. Yeah,
Bro, that has been Kuroko's basketball.
Yeah,
Run with the wind, bro.
Yeah, bro. The guy that nobody pays
Kuroko's
attention to, but he's like the main guy.
Yeah, he's invisible.
Right, man.
That's his power, dude. He's invisible on a basketball court. The ultimate
there's
power up if you're playing a sport.
There's a new anime that just came out recently. It's about a soccer player who's like super germophobic.
Blue is called Blue something. I see a lot of the manga. I see a lot about it. I hear it's soccer one. It's like I think it's like Blue something.
Yeah, so he's a super germophobic anime or soccer player. That's a really good one too. That one's a good one to watch because even though it's like a slice of life anime, and slice of life just must make you feel better about life in general, but there's some inspirational things about that, and especially how the main character just affects everybody around them, not by being this like show off or anything like that, but by helping other people be better, because that's who that person is. There's no like malicious intent, or there's no additional gain. That's just who the person is. Yeah, man, I completely agree. So I fourth that, Jordan. I fourth that.
Okay, well, we got on this tangent for Jordan's power up. What about yours right now, currently, Gino?
Oh man, it's gonna
not favorite, just like what's in your mind right now, because it's so hard to choose
All
favorites.
Might. Reason being is
All Might. Is that what you said?
All Might wasn't born with it, All Might was he was like very similar settings Deku, and I think I hit home with that one because being born in a third world country and having the luck on my side to be brought to America, just like I'm given that one for all. And,
if you would slightly, if you're comfortable explaining that, like, because I know where you came from.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I was born in a third world country, very very much to the slums of the Philippines, and then my mom ended up marrying another guy who was very much older. And at the time, I didn't know anything different because we were kids. But as I look back, being older, I'm like, my mom was like a mail order bride. It's literally what happened. And so, my mom would always. And for all the Asian listeners, you know how it is growing up in an Asian household. I know Jordan and Jan know exactly what it's like growing up in an Asian household because of our Asian friends. It's like Asian moms are the worst. You gotta love them, but they're the worst people to grow up with, and they always remind you of how better off you are right now than you would have been in the third world country or whatnot. So that's the background. My mom always put that in my head. But why All Might sticks out to me is because I always beg for a chance to be better, like whether it be financially, whether it be work, whether it be physical health, whether it be mentally, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna keep trying. And if for some reason I get a windfall and it's lucky, then I'm gonna take it, because we know that one, life is too short, and two, life does not give us many very options. And then the reason why All Might sticks out to me is he had that ability. Somebody was like, you're gonna do great things, here you go. And instead of him be like, I don't know what to do with it, he was like, fuck it, I'm running with it. I'm gonna be the epitome of what All for One should be. And that's why it hits home, is he's given this power, and he could do one of two things. Again, he could be a complete dick asshole about it, or he could better himself in the world, and that's what he's done. And he's the hero that smiles. Even though everything sucks, he's beat to the ground constantly, he's the hero that smiles. And everything is okay because All Might is there. And that's what gets me. It's like I want that to be my persona. Like I want to personify that. Like I want people to be like, oh, everything's cool because Gino's here. Like everything's good now because I know this person's gonna give me 120%, not because he needs to, not because like he's entitled to or obligated to, but I know he's gonna do this because that's who he is. You know, that's why it hits home for me.
For sure, man. I think, and like that's really huge too because honestly, I'll let you go. I know you're not part of like anime Twitter or anti-Twitter, they call it that space, but there's actually a lot of I don't know if well, I'll say it, like there's a lot of Filipino anime fans that are that occupy that space. They call them philos. I didn't know what it meant. People were saying, "Where are my philos at?" I'm like, I thought it was an acronym for like because they think about moots and stuff. I'm like, what the hell? What's philo? Like fresh in love or something? Like I didn't get it. And I had to like legit ask. I'm like, what does this mean? It's like, oh, Filipino. I'm like, oh, duh. I would. Do you think I would know? And like knowing you, Gino, Marcel, Mark, Patrick, and, you know, all the Filipino squad in PV. For my whole freaking life. But I think this is like, you brought up a really good point. When some of them are like, maybe, you know, I don't want to imagine that they are, assume that they are, but if they are like have your similar situation where they are in the Philippines, then you really hit it home. It's something that I can't understand personally because I haven't lived in that type of environment, but you providing that insight is huge. So I thank you for, you know, sharing your experience, and hopefully one of our listeners can like listen into that if they're having a hard time. And be like, this guy, like you, for example, was like me, a Filipino,
right.
And then carried on.
But one of the things... oh, sorry, bro. Keep going.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, those are the situations like we were talking about where we all have different life experiences, but, you know, you found anime and you were able to use it to, you know, build, like, your mindset and basically, like, better yourself, motivate yourself, and just show yourself through these shows, which a lot of times I feel like it backdoors into your mentality where you'll go to watch anime mostly seeking an escape, and in turn you get these little nuggets that like, oh, this dude he never gives up. Right. You know, All Might, he shows up, he uses his power, but his ultimate goal is to bring peace. He calls it, you know, symbol of peace. He wants to use his power to, you know, give everyone else around him this sense of peace. And, you know, we find those, like you have, just through watching it, and you probably weren't going into it 100% every time seeking that, right. But you found it, and it resonated with you.
Oh, man, and that, so goes into my trade secret of why I was successful in my career field in the military, being a mental health counselor and alcohol drug counselor too. I would constantly use motivational quotes in animes, and nobody knew, like, because nobody, like, a lot of people didn't watch animes, you know what I mean? And so, is it cheating? No, it's definitely not cheating. It's drawing help from people. They might not be real people, but from people that are inspirational. And I would use that when it came to people with like depression, anxiety, you know, addiction with stuff, or going through suicidality, even like as me, as a person who's gone through all those mental health issues as well. It's always good to have those words of encouragement, or just
affirmation.
This
it's huge. They say that, you know, a lot of successful people, like if we throw it back to like Gary Vaynerchuk, for example.
Yeah.
They always talk about, and this is like something I learned when I was doing my professional career. I was a real estate agent, whatever, super successful, blah, 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 blah. We don't need to go into that. But a lot of these super successful people always say like words of affirmation. Right. Like, it's super huge. And we talk about quotes, like a single quote is super impactful. And a lot of the times, if someone knows it's from anime, they're not going to give it a chance, like you said. But if you don't tell them, right, then it's funny how it really takes effect. And like, number one quote, when you mention this, it always comes to mind, is from fucking Pokemon original movie. And this is a quote from Mewtwo. He says, "I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. Yes. It's what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are."
Right.
That's fucking massive. That's a massive quote, dude. That's the embodiment of like whatever you're handed to you, like you still have to do it yourself. Like what makes you, you. What makes you is you, essentially. And I love that quote. It always comes to mind.
And there's a big thing too, and I never really understood it until I got out of the military. Is in those animes, like when somebody loses a village or somebody loses an entire like family or like a lineage, and the person has to restart from scratch, and the person, like, you see this person starting from scratch, they're struggling, they have this like this uphill battle, but there's so much history in that one person, whether it be like their faults or their strengths, their hidden abilities and all that kind of stuff. It's like, I always wondered when does anybody ever like go through that? Like, when does anybody ever go through the situation? Like, everybody goes through life in one linear fashion, but that's not true. Like, for me, is getting out of the military recently, I had to reimagine myself. It's like, what am I supposed to do with my life? That's all I ever knew. You know what I mean? Right. And now going back, looking at it, it's like, I understand exactly how it was. I was the epitome of what like a non-commissioned officer should be, and then now I'm starting as a civilian, doing it all over again. And I was like, this is exactly what All Might literally just did this. Like, he was the hero, and then boom, he has to pass it on, and he has to restart again. He's not the hero anymore, but he's still somebody's hero. He's still somebody's support. He's still a teacher, like a confidant or a professor, right? He's a professor still at the school. But like that, like it's not as far-fetched as people make it out to be when they're like, oh, what are you getting out of anime? It's just cartoons. And like, well, let me tell you where the similarities are drawn in my life and All Might's life.
I can't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. Especially like hearing your story originally, and also living with you. Like, I got that. I was like indoctrinated to that mentality of like, just like go, like, just no one's gonna give it to you, take it. And like, it's so funny because like I've heard that a lot in my life, and but like, when you hear from like a peer is when I think it's most impactful. Like, even though like from anime, but like going to like your gym, like I keep talking about your gym ethic, but like your gym ethic to me, when it was like you all mighted me, dude, I was like your Deku. Like, we joke around like that. Like, I was young Midoriya. But like, gym ethic is like now transcends a gym, but it's like also it's like my like normal lifehood. It's like,
but it works.
Yeah, you can take a nap or like you can sleep and shit, but like, are you going to like just go to the parking lot, and if you get there, then you go inside the gym. And if you get in the gym, then lift, or then just go on the treadmill. And if you go on the treadmill, then you're gonna lift. Then you just like take it one step at a time, but just do it. Just try to better yourself, and like, of course, you gotta listen to your body and all that, but like, it's huge. So like, it's awesome that you brought that up, because like, I consider Gino like my like brother, like legit, like not by blood, but he's like a legitimate brother to me. So
and it's hard because when I hanging out with you guys in person, like I haven't seen Jordan in years. The last time I saw Jordan was the first
Mark's
time.
wedding, right?
The last time that I saw Jordan was when we went to Vegas, right?
You said first time?
Yeah, the first last time, like before the wedding, was
Vegas,
baby. Yeah, bro, we went to Vegas, but a lot of things came back to where you see like those friendships and those bonds in the animes where these dudes, they have such like a history, and how things unfold as they're together, even though they haven't seen each other in a long time. Like that's how it was, like just being close with Jordan, because we like the same shit. I don't think we've ever argued about anything. And, maybe who's like a better Yu-Gi-Oh player, or Monster Hunter, but
Bishop and Takashi, here we go.
I might have got the third death.
Like, do I tell Jordan my trials and tribulations that I've gone through and all that kind of stuff?
Right.
And in the animes, it's like it's never forced, but it's always welcome. Like when you're in your party and you share that experience, because it makes your party stronger. Like, it makes your group stronger.
Right.
And that's another power up. Like, people just don't tend to act on, is sharing. Like, being open. And then I know Jordan would probably want to hear my story about all the crap I've been through, but like just drinking and talking about the stuff we've been through has helped a lot, whether it be like going through pain or like celebrating achievements, especially when he was like, oh yeah, I'm probably gonna ask her to marry me, and I'm like, oh shit,
Oh,
you know, like
dude, that was it, huh?
right,
Yeah, that was
so
it.
Those drunken
helps.
talks.
The drunk talks. It's all honesty, man.
Yeah, man, it's.
Yep.
I mean, just being able to have that camaraderie, you know, having that camaraderie outside of the military, that's what you see in animes, is that feeling of camaraderie, and you don't see that in many places. And I think most people, correct me if I'm wrong, I think most people nowadays lack that too, because they're so afraid of being fucked over, you know.
They're also force fed this ideology of like, you got to make yourself, like, it's kind of like, I understand being an entrepreneur and having this entrepreneurial spirit,
Right.
But like it's kind of detrimental when it's like you constantly hear like no one's gonna help you, only you can make yourself, blah blah blah.
Right.
In a different tone, like when you see it from like an anime's perspective, it's like if you're down for the count, it's like if there's no one around, like sometimes you do have to fight and like make yourself better. But like when it comes to again, it's almost like the social media thing. It's like when it comes to being successful in a capitalist kind of mindset of like you're 25, you don't own your own business yet. Like what are you doing? It's like they don't want to like have that camaraderie, because like you can offer someone help. Like, hey, dude, like I was in real estate. I know a little bit about the Facebook algorithm and like some little shortcuts. I'm gonna offer you some piece of advice to like help you out and start your new business. And they go, nah, I'm good. I'm doing it my way. I'm like,
Right.
oh shit, okay, my bad. Like I'm just like trying to, like you said, camaraderie. And I think when you find a person that kind of like accepts that and also shares it with you, like I have with you and Jordan, for example, it's like those are the people that you choose to keep close, because at the end of the day, even if you have like squabbles or anything, like you're still going to lean on each other in a time of need. And it's so funny, like I don't know how this happens, but I'm so comfortable right now in this moment. Like it's legit, like me and you are like, we're talking in a party chat. We're not recording anything, because usually I have my podcaster voice on and I'm going, yeah, let me, and like
It does.
I'm talking really slow because I know I talk fast, because I'm half Mexican. I talk fast. And so like when I'm around people, my normal cadence is right what it is right now. And it's fast. And if you don't know me, it's hard to understand me, and I'm catching myself. I have to like talk slow. Like normally I'm talking like this, but I'm here with you, Gino, and Jordan. So it feels like the old Monster Hunter days. And I gotta like talk about camaraderie. Like these are my brothers, like legitimate. Like these are my brothers. So
I mean, for the most part in our group, one of the things is like we're not in competition with one another. I mean, there's friendly like gaming competitions, but just like in life. Like when Jordan and I were talking when we was in Vegas, because we talked all the time when it came to stuff, but I didn't talk to Jordan that much. But when we talked, you know, he was still in Phoenix working for the what was the brewing company, or is what was
Beers.
the place? The beer, yeah,
A distributor.
And I was just like, I have no clue, like what the fuck he does or what he's doing. But one, he's successful and he's happy, and the only thing I could feel for him was just that like. The energetic support. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, man, that's awesome. Like I have no clue what it is, but I mean, you're happy with it, you're doing what you need to do. And then Jordan doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about, other than like, you know, his dad was in the military too, other than like, oh, Gino's going through a shitty time, but he's also, you know, finding time to make time for his boys, because there's not really that much, you know, I told Jordan this, there's not much time in life, so you got to spend time with your friends as much as you can. And that's what is like hit on in so many animes, because people die in the animes, let's face it. Like people die. People die
when they're dead.
Right, exactly. And then so that's why they allow themselves to be vulnerable to their party or whatnot. And I think that's what our group is really good at, is allowing ourselves to be vulnerable with one another, because we know that, you know,
we're gonna help each other rise and power up.
And our group isn't going to be the one to shark bait one another and like tear each other down when we're weak or whatnot. And I think that's what our group does really well when it comes to that embodiment of just like helping each other up. That's our ultimate power up.
Oh, the power of friendship.
Ooh.
Look at that,
dude.
man. It's a real
Full circle.
thing.
Moto.
We need to call
Ooh,
it.
it's
We
a
need to
real
call it a
thing.
wrap just from that.
Power of
Because that was the
friendship, baby.
perfect.
Let's go.
Bring it back, man. There you go. Bring it back.
Yeah.
That's beautifully said, though, and I definitely agree. Like with anyone in our group, you, Gino, you, John, like we're not gonna. Basically, we aren't in it with that mentality of what can they do for me.
Right.
Like we're not friends because we want, something from you. I don't want something from you, G. I want you to be happy. Same
Right.
with you, John. Like that's all that we want. Just we want the friendship, and like some people, those friendships or relationships where it's someone's trying to get something from them, and yeah, like you said, there's none of that with us, and that's why like we're all so close, and we can go so long without seeing each other, and then come back together, and it's like nothing changed.
Right.
We're joking, like there's no awkwardness, like it's just right back in it.
And
Well, I think that's a good way to kind of end this, man. The power of friendship, because we are like past the 1 hour mark here, and as much as I'd like for us to continue this like discussion, I think like an hour like pretty much is our limit when it comes to like consumer retention.
Right.
Even then we're pushing it, but like the power of friendship and the power up essentially is super important when it comes to like anime and obviously real life, as we just talked about right now. So before I end this, I do want to kind of like say, Gino, you're a special guest, man. Any word? I know we wanted to talk about your web series, your web comic, so I want to give you the floor
that.
here. I want to give you ample time to talk about that because, like I said, you're my brother. We both consider you our brothers. So like don't just like plug it, like talk about it. It's this guy's passion project, and like this is our passion project, and so like I need you guys to understand, like I need to check it out, like Project Zero. Like this is the only, like he said he came out of the military and this is a dream. Like legit, he's living that dream right now. He's living that mangaka that dream. So
Yeah.
Gino, you have the floor, man. As much time as you want to talk, go for it.
Thanks, guys. I'll make this kind of brief. Reason being is some of the most impactful things are very short. So like as Jan was saying, I'm doing a webcomic and it's called Project Zero, and it's just a culmination of our childhood dreams and what it would be like if we put our ideas into a comic book, of course mainly with my twist. If you want to support it, you can always check it out. My IG is T Strider Art. I know he'll probably post it, or he'll link it over there, but don't support it because like I'm asking you to support it. I want you to genuinely check it out because I don't want people to be forced to be into something. I want people to actually enjoy it, and that's the goal of Project Zero, or just my art studio in general, is that we're here to make content that's not supposed to be forced down somebody's throat. We're here to make content that you can enjoy, because in reality that will supersede time itself, just like Goku's first power-up, just like when Yami came out of Yugi's puzzle, that kind of stuff. That's what we're trying to build. So Project Zero is hopefully going to be one of those webcomics that turns into an actual comic that hopefully turns into an anime. Maybe, depends on how much support.
Like God of High School, baby. Let's
yeah,
go.
man, like God of High School,
Yeah.
exactly.
But not rushed.
Right, and I want the community to get involved in it too, because I don't really have that
Backing.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't have that backing. So it's literally chasing the dream. There's no other way to say it other than it's chasing the dream. And then again, thanks for having me on the podcast. I'm hoping,
man.
Down the road, if you guys ever have any openings again, I'm always down.
Actually, that's a really good. I do. There's only so much like you can talk about. Like, unfortunately, like even like we go, like I said, I mentioned like over an hour. Like people, like the podcast format is it's like something where like people throw on in the background and like they'll kind of like white noise almost.
Right.
So like there's so much we can talk about. Like we barely scratched the surface of power ups. I think we all can agree on that, and we're already over an hour, and that's just as me and Jordan have come to know with podcasting. That's just the way it goes. And sometimes I have to cut in and be like, this is it, because that's just how it is. But like, dude, yeah, like we do have a lot of topics that I want, like hardship. I think, for example, like these characters before the power ups, they go through hardships. And like you were kind of briefly talking about it, and I was like, this would be a good time to talk about that, but I can't because we're talking about power ups. So like we definitely want you back in here again. Like even like there's a whole bunch of topics, and like of course you're our brother too. So like, and one thing I like, you talk about camaraderie. It's like I've always had this like self quote in my head, like. It's like prosper together. It's like, why, like, don't, like, if you have someone else who has a podcast or like you have your web comic, it's like, why would I like not support it? Like, why would you, like, and this vice versa. It's like we prosper together, we lift each other up, and we, be successful together. So we definitely want you on here again. And like, I would love to like actually have like a web comic series, like episode. I don't know, like that'd be pretty cool. And then we can totally like go into that process, because I'm sure like with you. Well, I don't know how it was, but like when we started this podcast, I thought it'd be simple as like, yeah, let's record some shit and put it up on the internet.
God.
Fuck no, dude. Fuck no. I was in the damn good thing I have some business experience, because I was fucking, I'll tell you what, man, I was putting some work in. So I'm assuming it's the same for you.
Yes, definitely. There's nuances to it that nobody's ever told me, and I'm sure you've experienced the same thing.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
It's
one of those things where it's like, you throw in trial and tribulation, man.
Right. But if there's one more thing that I could plug to, and it's I always do this, and Jen, you know me, because you lived with me. For anybody who's listening, like, just know that you're not alone. That's my biggest thing, is because of all the shit that's going on in life, but just as personal stuff too. Like, I always talk about overcoming personal mental health. Just remembering that you're not alone is a big thing for me.
And it was World Mental Health Day, Mental Health Awareness Day over the weekend. So I do want to like ask you, and I just mentioned it, but like in general, like to your fellow Filipino people, like 'cause you know better than I do.
Right.
Like
other
than that,
it goes out to everybody too, and it's a lot of Filipino race has been shit on for generations, but just for anybody, when it comes to it, please have an understanding that mental illness is not a joke, because it's always underplayed, and there's always help, and the biggest thing that you can do is just talk to your friends, to your family, to another person, and that whole mentality of camaraderie, you're not alone in this fight. There's always somebody there to help you, or is wanting to help you. Just allow them to do it. Vegeta did it. You can do it.
True. That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Love
Same
that.
pride.
That's right. But yeah, thanks, fellas, for having me on here. It's always a pleasure drinking beers and talking game.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
buddy.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you coming on, G.
Yeah, G, really appreciate it. I miss you, bro.
I know, yeah. It's we gotta get to. It's so hard. It really is hard when people have their own lives and stuff. They really, in those days of like, I always think back of like it as run over and a dead horse being beaten as The Office is. I think back to like one of like Andy's character, and he says, "I wish someone would tell you you're in the golden days before you were out of the golden days," or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like it's very true. It's very true. So I cherish this time we can all get together, because we all have our own lives, our own families, and to break away from that, it takes a lot of effort and time. So thank you.
For real. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap it up for this episode here on the Monch Hours podcast. Let me talk in my podcast report. No, I was kidding.
There
it is. Yeah. Thank you for joining us on the Monch Hours podcast. We're tuning in for next week when we talk about whatever we're going to talk about. Thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far, go ahead and let us know that you watched the whole thing, and we'll put you in our Monch Mob. We got one person in there. One person
Monch
screenshot
Mob.
it. Monch Mob. Yeah. So we're building up the club, and the special features, I don't know. We haven't come up with anything yet. Maybe we'll come up with something. You get in our Discord or something. Not like we have one yet. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We look forward to next week's episode. You can find myself at Mr. Hans, or at, I can't remember now, HAUNZZ on Twitter. And then, you guys plug your handles.
I'm at Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Highrizzah, HIGHRIZZZAH. And then I'm mostly on the IG at Monch Manga. Monch_manga.
Yeah, I'm mostly on IG. I have a Twitter. I know Jan knows it. I don't know it, but my
It's like
IG 's,
Takashi Strider, dude. I know. I'm gonna have to tag it too. I'm gonna
Just
tag your
me.
Twitter when we make this post.
Yeah.
So you better get active on there, because dude, you guys tell me. This guy needs to know, dude. Hey, I'm gonna let you know right now that the webcomic scene is fucking big on Twitter.
I know, man. That's like people.
I know
keep telling me
it's
about
hard.
IG.
I know it's hard. I know this whole fucking thing is hard because doing it myself, me and Jordan doing it, it's fucking hard. But just make your account again, reactivate it, and I'll tag it, and I'll tag your IG too. I'm gonna tag everything, the video description, all that. I'm gonna tag it, so you'll get access to that.
Yeah,
Project
man,
Zero.
Definitely,
Project Zero.
I'll let him post that too on my IG. I know some people that messaged me that they listened to the first 2 episodes of Monch Hour. Really like it, so I was like, oh, surprising, and not knowing if anybody's
shit,
ever
for
gonna
real?
check it. Yeah, they messaged me. They're like, oh, it's pretty
Dang.
cool. So hopefully we get more people with exposure.
I know they listen because, dude, like, honestly, like, I have like the stats, and it's like you have like 40 listeners.
Right.
It's like, okay, I know like 5 of those are like the friends I bum it to.
Right.
That are like forced to watch it because it's like our content. Like, I know half the people, so it's like there's actually, we tell them all the time, like, hey, and we have a couple, we've had a couple people who've come from the podcast to say, hey, is this you guys, like on Twitter and Instagram?
Right.
It's like, yeah, this is us. Thank you so much for reaching out, which is fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah, man.
hey, let us know. We fucking love it.
Let's-
Like, I know like there's a disconnect. Like, there's a video here, a video screen now. But I'm seriously just a fucking weeb. So, no pressure.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Let's prosper together.
All right, yeah. So, guys, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Monch Hours podcast.
We out.
Peace. And that's a wrap, boys.
Thanks for watching. Till next time on Monch Hours.